Hello, in today's session, we'll see what is anger and aggression and their neural and hormonal basis. So, we'll see what is aggression and anger. So, we have lot faced regarding these emotions in our life. What is aggression and anger? So we might have reacted very aggressively and angrily in many situations. So now let's see what is aggression and anger. So anger is a basic emotion that arises in a response to a frustration, threat, or injustice situations in your life. So aggression is refers to a behavior that tends to harm others either physically or mentally. That is aggression. So anger is an emotion and aggression is a behavior. So now we'll know what is aggression and what is anger. Now, not all anger leads to aggression, but intense or poorly regulated anger can increase aggressive acts. Now we'll see neural basis of anger and aggression. So in amygdala, which is located in the limbic system, detects the threat and danger provocation of a situation and plays a central role in the anger arousal and aggressive impulsivity. Overreactivity of the amygdala is linked to the impulsive aggression. So, example, sudden range reactions when insulted. This also gives an aggressive and anger reactivity. So in hypothalamus, what happens is it regulates autonomic nervous system, and that nervous system also gets activated and hormonal responses and reactions are also made in the hypothalamus, and it also activates flight or fight reactions during anger situations. So here stimulation of certain hypothalamic area can trigger aggressive behavior. So next, prefrontal cortex, that is PFC, prefrontal cortex. So in prefrontal cortex, which is located in frontal lobe, which is responsible for judgment, impulsive control, and emotional regulations, it and inhibits aggressive urges coming from an amygdala. So damages or poor functioning leads to anger, poor anger control, and violent behavior. So, where is an anger related crushing out activity were conducted in the class as an activity recording this session. Now comes anterior cingulate cortex, that is ACC, which is involved in emotional awareness and conflict monitoring. What kind of emotion involved in this conflict and how to control this. This helps in controlling emotional reactions. So your emotional reactions in over conflict situations, these are all controlled and made part of anterior cingulate cortex in the brain. So it also reduces the activity which is associated with the anger regulations, and that is poor anger. So the neurotransmitter involved here is serotonin, dopamine, and GABA. Serotonin gives lower level when lower level of serotonin is there, increased impulsive and aggression is there. So serotonin increases will lead to decreases in the impulsivity and aggressions. So here dopamine associated with the reward driven aggression. So here GABA also involves as a inhibitory neurotransmitter that lowers the activity of increasing the aggression. So here next comes hormonal basis of anger and aggression. So here hormone influences the intensity and expression of anger and aggressions. Here testosterone is strongly linked with dominant and aggressive behavior, where highly associated with physical aggression, which tends to harm others. So and also it acts as an amygdala and hypothalamus functions. So next comes to hormone, that is stress hormone cortisol, which is released during stress through HPA axis in the brain. So this lower level cortisol linked with fearlessness and aggression. When there is high level of cortisol, it leads to an suppressed anger and aggressions. So next, adrenaline and non-adrenaline, which is released during anger arousal movement, and it also leads to an increased heart rate, blood pressure, and readiness for actions, and it also prepare the body for flight responses. Next comes how brain get how brain interacts and hormones gets interacted with the anger and aggressions. The amygdala initiates anger first, and hormones intensify the anger stimulus, and the prefrontal cortex regulates. Next, aggression occurs when emotional drive is strong and cognitive control is weak. Then, chronic stress can damage PFC, that is prefrontal cortex functioning, leads to an increased aggression. So, what is a flow? It could be a simple flow is first, you will identify threat or frustration, that is the stimuli which gives the anger or aggression. Next, in amygdala, it gets activated. Then hypothalamus and hormone releases gets regulated and separates the emotions and its expressive levels. Next, psychological arousal. Then psychological arousal gives the consequences or the initiative of aggressive and aggressions to be expressed. Then those things will be regulated in the prefrontal cortex, and finally your control response is executed, or else your aggression gets executed. So here we have an example case study. 20 years old Ravi showed frequent anger outbursts and aggressive behavior after a head injury. Suddenly, after head injury, he feels aggressive and angry for everything. So now, after the brain examination, a result showed reduced functioning of the prefrontal cortex and overactivity of the amygdala. He also experienced high stress and leading to an hormonal imbalance. So that hormonal imbalances, as we know, testosterone and cortisol gets linked. Due to poor emotional control, Ravi reacts aggressively to a minor situation. This case shows a brain dysfunction and hormone influence in anger and aggression. Okay, thank you.